Hey everybody, Dr. Chris Hoff here, another edition of Kitchen Table Talks. Hopefully you have some coffee today. I'm going to give you 2 tips for doing empathy. We live in a very, I'm sure everybody can agree, we live in a very contentious time. Lots of conflict. I know there's been, as a working therapist, how a lot of what's going on in this day and age is tearing up relationships of all kinds. And so what I'm seeing often is when conflict shows up, people immediately move into judgment. And what happens is when we move into that direction, and I do this too, I want to be really clear about that. I do this too, where you move into judgment and then you begin, when you're in conflict, begin to characterize the other person, the other party in a particular way that can be kind of limiting and boxy and very much single-storied. So one of the tasks, I think, or a couple of our tasks that we have in our contemporary society is how do we find curiosity again? How do we lean into curiosity again? And so I'm going to give you 2 tips to do that. The first one is how do we expand our thinking? So we do this training at CFI. I got this training. It's actually called the Martian exercise, and I can send it to you if you're interested. Just DM me or send me a message or whatever. But John Stillman from the Casperson Therapy Training Center sent me this Martian exercise, which really goes like you have 2 people together, and one person is the Martian, the other person is the client. And you have the Martians coming down to Earth to discover this idea about what happy is, for example. And you can change it up for anything. All these things that we maybe name and we think we know what they mean, but do we really know what they mean, kind of thing, right? So the Martian comes down, talks to the client. Can you start by telling me what happy is? How does a person know they are happy? When does it happen? And you can go through this series of questions, of curiosity questions about just this simple thing that we all make assumptions about, and that is happy. So an exercise like this begins to promote curiosity, and it also pauses assumptions. And I think that's very important in this day and age where there's a lot of assumption making going on. So, and my second tip for you is this idea of what is being unsaid. So how do we sit with somebody and be curious again about, even sometimes in the aggressive nature of maybe how they're communicating with us, how can we pause for a minute and say, and ask ourselves, do kind of double listening, what is it that they're asking for? What is being unsaid in whatever is being said? And oftentimes I think you'll find if we slow down enough and kind of take this stance that people oftentimes are looking for safety, or they're afraid of something that's going on in the relationship we're in the world. But there's all kinds of possibilities if we pause for a minute and say, and kind of do that thing like, what is being said? And this typically, the double listening thing is like, for example, you can't know hopelessness unless you have an idea of hope, right? This is kind of a deconstructive thought, an idea that comes from Derrida, the text under the text, right? That to know hopelessness, you have to have some idea of what hope is. So if somebody's coming at you in a particularly hopeless position, maybe you can ask some questions about what vision of hope they might have, or that is being kind of subjugated or blocked out at this particular time. So those are my 2 tips. Expand your thinking, lean back into curiosity, don't make assumptions. How can you be curious about these things that we might make assumptions about, especially other people? And of course, what is being unsaid? So paying attention to, even though you're hearing a story of one thing, maybe it's actually embedded underneath that is something else. So those are my 2 tips for doing empathy. Thanks for watching Kitchen Table Talk. Please share it, tell a friend. If you're watching this on YouTube, subscribe and link, or what have you. And if you want that Martian exercise, just shoot me a message and I'll get it to you. So as always, thanks for watching. I'm Dr. Chris Hoff. Peace.